Welcome back, book buddies. Today we are going to read all 24 books from the 2021 Peppa Pig Advent Calendar. Let's go! Day 1, Theatre Trip. It's an exciting day at playgroup. Madame Gazelle is taking the children on a special trip to see a play at the theatre. All aboard, calls Miss Rabbit from the school bus. Yippee, cheer Peppa and her friends. They climb on the bus and fasten their seatbelts. Wow, gasped Peppa. I wonder what play we are going to see. It's a surprise, Madame Gazelle replies, handing out the tickets. Look after these and you'll soon find out. Ooh, cry the children as they all hold on tightly to their tickets. The children walk up to the grand entrance of the theatre. Tickets, please, says Miss Rabbit, checking each one. If you would like a programme, you can line up over there. What's a programme? Asked Peppa. It's a little book that tells you about the play, explains Madame Gazelle. When Miss Rabbit finishes checking tickets, she sets up her programme stall. The children line up to receive a copy. Miss Rabbit hands Peppa a programme. Look, says Peppa, flicking through it. There's a picture of my mummy and daddy, and mine, and mine. Madame Gazelle leads the children into the theatre to find their seats. This is where the play will be performed, she says, pointing to the stage. Now we must be all quiet and wait for it to begin. Okay, whispers Peppa, putting her finger on her lips. Suddenly, the lights go out, the curtains open and Miss Rabbit magically appears on stage. Welcome to our performance of a musical extravaganza, she announces. I would like to introduce you to our fine actors. Just then, the stage lights come on to reveal... My mummy and daddy, cheers Peppa. And mine, cheered the children excitedly. All their parents are in the play. The show is now about to start, says Miss Rabbit. And mine, and mine, and mine. The children watch the show. There is singing and dancing and acting. Everyone has lots of different parts and Daddy Pig plays the drums in nearly all the right places. Bang, crash, badum. It's a great play. The stage curtain goes down. Is that the end? Peppa asks. Oh no, Peppa, whispers Madame Gazelle. This is just the interval. It's a bit like snack time. The play stops for a few minutes and you can all buy an ice cream from Miss Rabbit's ice cream stand. Ooh, gasped the children, lining up quickly. After their yummy ice creams, Peppa and her friends sit back down in their seats to watch the end of the play. Ta-da! Announces Daddy Pig proudly after one final well-timed bang on the drum. He takes a bow and the audience clap very loudly. Ooh, ooh! Miss Rabbit invites the playgroup children on the stage to meet the stars of the play. Mummy, Daddy, you are amazing, cheers Peppa. Ho, ho, laughs Daddy Pig. You enjoyed it then? Oh, yes, says Peppa. Oh, yes, say all of Peppa's friends. Everyone loves going to the theatre. We love the theatre. Oh, yes, we do, 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 do. The end. Day 2, Mr. Fox's shop. Mummy and Daddy Pig are wrapping up a present for Granny and Grandpa Pig's wedding anniversary. It's a glass vase. That's a bit of a boring present, says Peppa. Ho, ho, laughs Daddy Pig. It's a present for grown-ups. Peppa and George want to buy Granny and Grandpa Pig a present too. George gets their piggy bank to see how much money they have. We have 1 penny and 2 buttons to spend, says Peppa. Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig head to Mr. Fox's shop with the piggy bank. Peppa is very excited about buying Granny and Grandpa Pig a present. When they arrive, they open Mr. Fox's shop door and the bell rings. Ting-a-ling-ling! Hello there, says Mr. Fox from behind the shop counter. Can I help you? It's Granny and Grandpa Pig's wedding anniversary, says Mummy Pig. They are both very old and need a present, explains Peppa. My shop has everything, replies Mr. Fox. I'm sure you'll find something. A big teddy, cries Peppa, picking a teddy bear from the shelf. I love it. This can be the present. The present's not for you, says Mummy Pig. It's for Granny and Grandpa. Oh yes, says Peppa, disappointed. Do your Granny and Grandpa like digging in the garden? Asks Mr. Fox. Yes, replies Peppa. Then why not get them a bucket and spade each? Asks Mr. Fox. They have buckets and spades and forks and everything, says Peppa. I know, cries Peppa. Grandpa likes sailing his boat. Say no more, says Mr. Fox. I have everything a sailor could wish for. Do you have pirate's treasure? Pet treasure, asks Peppa. Sighs Mr. Fox. Everything except pirate's treasure. Oh, Peppa and George sigh, disappointed. How about a plastic oak chair, suggests Mr. Fox. Is it comfortable? Asks Daddy Pig. You can't sit on it, warns Mr. Fox. You just look at it, because it looks nice. That's not much fun, says Peppa, even for a grown-up. My shop sells everything, says Mr. Fox. There must be something you like. There is, cries Peppa, picking up the teddy bear again. I like this teddy, and I think Granny and Grandpa would like it too. Ho ho, laughs Daddy Pig. Let's buy the teddy then. A very good choice, says Mr. Fox. Who's going to pay? George empties the piggy bank on the shop counter. 1 penny and 2 buttons, says Mr. Fox. There's your change, 1 button. Thank you, Mr. Fox, replies Peppa. Then Peppa and her family head to Granny and Grandpa Pig's house. Happy anniversary, cheers Mummy Pig, as Granny opens the vase. Oh, another glass vase, says Grandpa, not very excited. It's a grown-up present, says Peppa. That's why it's a bit boring. Then Granny opens the present from Peppa and George. A teddy bear, she says, delighted. Thank you, Peppa and George. It's the best present we've ever had. Indeed, says Grandpa Pig, excitedly. And there's the teddy bear from Mr. Fox's shop. The end. Day 3. The train ride. Today, Madame Gazelle, Peppa and her friends are going on a train ride. Can I see your tickets, please? Mr. Rabbit asks them. The children wave their tickets in the air. Oh no, I've lost my ticket, Pedro cries. There's your ticket, Madame Gazelle says, pointing to a ticket on the ground. Try not to lose it again, says Mr. Rabbit, smiling at Pedro. All aboard, calls Miss Rabbit to the train driver. As the train pulls into the station, the children and Madame Gazelle jump onto the train and take their seats. The train pulls out of the station and heads down the hill. Toot! Madame Gazelle gives the children an activity sheet. They have to spot a boat, a signal box and a tunnel. Just then, Peppa says, I can see Grandad Dog. Ahoy there, Grandad Dog calls. Toot, toot, toot. Hooray, the children cheer, and then they tick the boat on their activity sheet. Pedro doesn't feel very well, so Madame Gazelle lets him go to the front of the train. Miss Rabbit lets him wear his hat and drive the train for a bit, which makes him feel much better. The train puffs slowly uphill. The train puffs quickly downhill. Whee! Cry the children. The train stops at the junction to let Mrs. Duck and her friends safely cross. A signal box, that's on our list, says Peppa. Hooray, the children cheer. And then they tick the signal box on their activity sheets. The train sets off again. Toot toot! Suddenly, it all goes dark. Ooh, we're in a tunnel, Peppa says. A tunnel is the last thing on our list. The children tick tunnel on their activity sheet and give a cheer. Hooray! Last stop, Miss Rabbit calls. But Madame Gazelle, how will we get home? Peppa asks. We are home, Peppa, Madame Gazelle replies. The train has gone in a big circle, so they are right back where they started. Tickets, please, Mr. Rabbit says one last time. Pedro, can I have my hat back, please? Miss Rabbit asks. When Pedro lifts up the hat, there is his ticket. Oh, that's where I put it, Pedro says. Everyone giggles. And there's the train. The end. Day 4. Peppa goes camping. Today, Peppa and George are very excited. They are going on holiday. Daddy Pig has a surprise. Honk honk! It's a camper van, grunts Daddy Pig. Wow, gasp Peppa and George. We're going on holiday, sings Peppa. We're going on holiday in our camper van. Snort! Says Daddy Pig, looking at the map. Daddy Pig, cries Mummy Pig. Are we lost? Well, begins Daddy Pig. Yes. Grandad Dog and Danny Dog arrive. Hello, calls out Peppa. We're lost. Lost? asks Grandad Dog, confused. Is your sat-nav broken? Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig don't know what a sat-nav is. Sat-nav is a computer that helps you find your way, explains Grandad Dog. Welcome to the car of the future, beeps the sat-nav. Can you tell us where to go, asks Peppa. Straight on, replies the sat-nav. Daddy Pig thanks Grandad Dog and the family continue on their way. We're going on holiday, sings Peppa. We're going on holiday in our camper van. Suddenly, the camper van is low on oil, but Daddy Pig can't find the engine. Mummy Sheep and Susie Sheep arrive in their car. Hello, Susie, cries Peppa. We've lost our engine. Lost your engine, replies Mummy Pig. I don't know a thing about engines, she says, but I'll have a look. I'm probably wrong, but this looks like an engine, says Mummy Sheep, lifting the boot. Well spotted, Mummy Sheep, gasped Daddy Pig, pouring oil into the engine. Glug, glug. Daddy Pig thanks Mummy Sheep, and the family are off again. Are we nearly there yet? asked Peppa, sighing. Just up the next hill, says the sat-nav. When they get to the top of the steep hill, the sat-nav says, You've reached your destination. Hooray! Everyone cheers. Time for bed, says Mummy Pig. Peppa and George put on their pyjamas. But where will we sleep? asked Peppa. Mummy Pig and I will sleep on this bed, says Daddy Pig, pressing a button. Whirr! Ta-da! A lovely big bed appears in the room. And you two will sleep upstairs, like you always do, says Mummy Pig. Watch this, says Daddy Pig, pressing another button. Whirr! Click! Suddenly, the camper van's roof lifts up and a bunk bed appears. Daddy Pig tucks Peppa and George into bed. The camper van is just like our little house, says Peppa. Good night, everyone, says the sat-nav. Sleep well. Snore, 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 snore. And there's the camper van. The end. Day 5. Pedro's pirate treasure. Peppa Pig, Pedro's pirate treasure. Peppa and her friends have dressed up as pirates. Danny Dog is on board his pirate ship. Are you ready to play? He asks. Yes, we are, everyone cheers in their best pirate voices. Pedro Pony guards the pirate ship, while Danny, Peppa, Susie Sheep and Freddy Fox search for treasure. First, Danny finds a pine cone. Treasure, woof, he barks. Then Peppa finds a shell. Susie finds some rope and Freddy finds a pebble. Everyone loves playing pirates and searching for treasure. Woof! Meanwhile, back at the pirate ship, Pedro starts to feel a bit sleepy. He takes off his glasses and falls asleep against a tree trunk. Zzz. Boo! Cried the pirates, creeping up on Pedro and waking him. Oh! Gasped Pedro, surprised. Sorry I fell asleep. Boo! Boo! We've got treasure to put in the treasure chest, says Peppa, showing Pedro. Everyone puts their treasures on the ground. Pedro guards the ship again, while the rest of the pirates head off to find a place to bury the treasure. Over the hill and round a little bush they go. Hurrah! Let's bury it here, cheers Danny. Freddy digs a hole. Danny puts the treasure chest inside and covers it up with soil. How will we know where we buried it, asks Susie. Let's make a treasure map, says Peppa. Peppa draws a treasure map. Over the hill, round a little bush, an X marks the spot. Danny draws an X on the ground to mark where the treasure is buried. And the pirates head back to their ship. When they get back, Mummy Pony arrives to collect Pedro. Stop, shouts Pedro, guarding the ship. Who goes there? I'm your mummy, says Mummy Pony. Where are your glasses, Pedro? Oh no, says Pedro. I think I put them in the buried treasure chest. We can find them with our treasure map, cheers Peppa. Mummy Pony uses Peppa's map to find the buried treasure. Over the hill, around a little bush, an X marks the spot, says Peppa. Peppa's map leads them straight to the treasure. After Freddy digs it up, Pedro looks at his very closely. My glasses, he cries. Hurrah! Everyone cheers. Treasure maps are very useful, says Peppa, especially for finding glasses if you accidentally bury them, adds Pedro. Ha 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 ha. Everyone laughs. Hurrah! And there's Pedro sleeping. The end. Day 6. Peppa's first sleepover. Peppa Pig, Peppa's first sleepover. Peppa is going to her first sleepover at Zoe Zebra's house. Welcome to my sleepover, Zoe says. I'll pick you up in the morning, Mummy Pig says to Peppa with a kiss. Rebecca Rabbit, Susie Sheep, Emily Elephant are already there. I've got my teddy, Peppa says. Zoe has her monkey, Rebecca has her carrot, Susie has her owl, and Emily has her frog. Don't stay up too late, girls, and don't be too loud. Daddy Zebra has to get up early to deliver post, Mummy Zebra says as she turns out the lights. Zoe's baby twin sisters, Zuzu and Zaza, want to join the sleepover too. Sleepovers are for big girls, Zoe says. The twins begin to cry. They're so sweet and little, Peppa says. Can they stay, Rebecca asks. Okay, Zoe says to the twins, but you must not fall asleep. What would we do first? Susie asks. I'm having piano lessons. Listen. Zoe starts to pound on the keys. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Mummy Zebra has woken up. Shh! You must be quiet so Daddy Zebra can sleep. Now, into your sleeping bags, please. Snort, what do we do now? Peppa asks. At sleepovers, there's always a midnight feast, Zoe says. It's when we eat things, Susie says in a hushed voice, in secret. Shh, Zoe says as she leads the girls into the kitchen. They each grab some delicious fruit, perfect for a midnight feast. The floorboard creaks. Creak! Oh no, Mummy Zebra has woken up. You'll wake Daddy Zebra. Now who knows a bedtime story? The girls take turns. Once upon a time, there was a little fairy, Susie begins. And she lived in a forest, Peppa continues. And the forest met a big monster who went, "Arr!" Emily says with a big elephant trumpet noise. Oh dear, the noise has woken Daddy Zebra. Sorry, Daddy, Zoe says. There was a story about a fairy and a scary monster. And we want to know what happens next, Peppa says. Very well, Daddy Zebra says. The monster lifted up his giant, big, hairy paws and walked along on his great, big, hairy feet and sang, "Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are." Daddy Zebra sings gently as he plays the piano. Daddy Zebra's song has sent everyone to sleep. The end. And there's Peppa sleeping. Day 7. Dentist trip. Every morning, Peppa and George brush their teeth. Scrub, scrub, scrub. Scrub, scrub, scrub. George, are your teeth as clean as mine? Peppa asks, showing off her clean white teeth. You both have lovely clean teeth. I'm sure the dentist will be happy, calls out Daddy Pig. Later that day, Peppa and George are at the dentist's, waiting for their checkup. It's George's first visit. Peppa, George, the dentist will see you now, says Miss Rabbit, the nurse. Hooray, they both cheer. This is Dr. Elephant, the dentist. Who's first? He asks. I'm first, replies Peppa. I'm a big girl. Watch me, George. Open wide, please, orders Dr. Elephant softly. Ah! Peppa opens her mouth as wide as she possibly can. Let's take a look, says the dentist, checking Peppa's teeth with a mirror. There, all done. What lovely clean teeth, cheers Dr. Elephant. Now you can have a special drink. Gargle, blow, poof. Peppa spits the pink liquid into the sink. It's George's turn next. George does not want it to be his turn, so the dentist lets him hold Mr. Dinosaur. All done. You have very strong, clean teeth, George, smiles Dr. Elephant. But wait, what is that? Cries Dr. Elephant. George has clean teeth, but this young dinosaur's teeth are very dirty. The water jet, please, Miss Rabbit, orders the dentist. He uses the water to clean Mr. Dinosaur's teeth. Splosh, splosh, splosh. Pink, cries George, picking up a glass. That's right, George, says the dentist. Mr. Dinosaur needs some special pink drink. Gurgle, gurgle. Gosh, what shiny teeth you have, Mr. Dinosaur, cries Miss Rabbit. Dinosaur, grrr, snorts George. George loves Mr. Dinosaur, especially now he has nice, clean teeth. And there's George brushing his teeth. The end. Day 8. Recycling fun. Mr. Ball the bin man is collecting the rubbish. It's early in the morning, so he tries to be as quiet as he can. Crash, clank, but Mr. Ball is not very good at being quiet. Hello, Mr. Ball, snorts Daddy Pig, Peppa and George. Hello, everyone, says Mr. Ball. Peppa and George are helping to clear up the breakfast things. We don't put bottles in the rubbish bin. They can be recycled, says Mummy Pig. They have soon collected enough things. Peppa and her family set off for the recycling centre. Mummy Pig has the bottles, and Peppa has the tin cans. George has the newspapers. Is everybody ready? Asked Daddy Pig. Yes, shout Peppa and George. Clink, clink, rattle, rattle, rustle, rustle. Soon they arrive at Miss Rabbit's recycling centre. Miss Rabbit is sitting high up inside a big crane. She is busy recycling all the rusty old cars. It's very noisy. Who knows which bin the bottles go in? Asked Mummy Pig. The green one, says Peppa. That's right, snorts Daddy Pig. Clink, clink. And the cans go in the blue one, says Peppa. Well done, Peppa, Mummy smiles. Rattle, rattle. Daddy Pig lifts George up so he can empty the newspapers into the red bin. Rustle, rustle. Where's our car gone? Asked Daddy Pig. Stand back, shouts Miss Rabbit from up above them. Miss Rabbit is about to recycle the family's car. Stop, shouts Peppa. Our car isn't old and rusty. Ha ha ha, silly me, says Miss Rabbit. I just love recycling. So do we, says Peppa. But we also love our little car. The end. And there's Mummy Pig recycling. Day 9. The fancy dress party. Peppa and George are having a fancy dress party. All their friends are invited. Peppa is dressed as a fairy princess and George is a dinosaur. All the guests are arriving. Rebecca Rabbit is dressed as a carrot and Susie Sheep has come as a nurse. Hello, Susie, says Daddy Pig. Have you just come from the hospital? I'm not a real nurse, says Susie Sheep. It's just pretend. Hello, Susie, says Peppa. I'm Princess Peppa. You must bow when you speak to me. Susie Sheep bows. Woof, woof. I'm a pirate. Shiver me timbers, says Danny Dog. Nay, I'm a clown, says Pedro, tooting his horn. Rebecca, why are you dressed as a carrot? Danny asks. Because I like carrots, says Rebecca. George does his best dinosaur roar and scares everybody. Roar! Peppa is playing by herself. She pretends the mirror is magic. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? You are, Peppa, she giggles. It's time to judge the fancy dress competition. As is Peppa's party, says Daddy Pig, she can be the judge and decide who has the best costume. The guests show off their outfits. I'm a pirate, shiver me timbers, says Danny Dog. I'm a nurse who makes people better, says Susie Sheep. Candy Cat waves her wand at Peppa. I'm a witch and I will turn you into a frog, she says. Well, I'm a fairy princess and I can turn you into a frog, cries Peppa. It is time to announce the winner. Everyone's costume is very good, says Peppa. But the winner is me. Peppa, you can't pick yourself. You're the judge, whispers Mummy Pig. Oh, I can't, asks Peppa. You have to pick another winner, Mummy Pig says quietly. Okay, the carrot wins, says Peppa. Hooray! Rebecca Rabbit has won the fancy dress competition. Thank you, Thank you, Rebecca Rabbit says. Peppa loves fancy dress parties. Everyone loves fancy dress parties. And there's Peppa and Rebecca. The end. Day 10. Peppa goes swimming. It's a lovely sunny day and Peppa and her family are at the swimming pool. Peppa, George, let Daddy put on your armbands, snorts Mummy Pig. Today is George's first time at the pool and he's a bit scared of getting in. Why don't you just put one foot in the water, suggests Daddy Pig. Maybe George should try both feet at the same time, says Mummy Pig. Splash! Mummy Pig has convinced George to jump into the water and he loves it. Grunt, hee 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 hee, snort, shouts George happily. Ho ho, well done George, snorts Daddy Pig. Here is Rebecca Rabbit and her brother Richard and their mummy. Hello everyone, cries Rebecca. Squeak squeak, says George. Richard, hold on to this float. You can practice kicking your legs, says Mummy Rabbit. George, would you like to try kicking your legs, asks Mummy Pig. Hee hee, float, snort, George giggles. Ho ho, very good, Daddy Pig laughs. But please try not to splash. Grunt, big children don't splash, adds Peppa. Big children are very good at swimming, snorts Peppa. When George and Richard are older, you'll be able to swim, like us, won't they, Rebecca? Yes, says Rebecca, as she matches the boys' kicking. Peppa and Rebecca race each other up and down the pool with their armbands on. They are having lots of fun swimming and splashing in the water. Oops! Richard has dropped his toy watering can into the pool. Mummy, wah! Cries Richard. Sorry, Richard, I can't reach. It's too far down, says Mummy Rabbit. Luckily, Daddy Pig is an excellent swimmer. He takes off his glasses and dives down to get the watering can. Ho ho! There you go, snorts Daddy Pig. Squeak squeak, says Richard. Well done, Daddy. Mummy Pig smiles. Oh dear, now Richard is soaking Daddy Pig with a watering can. What a naughty rabbit. Hee hee hee. George thinks it's hilarious. Everyone has had a wonderful day at the pool. And there's George and Richard swimming. The end. Day 11. Granny and Grandpa Pig's attic. Peppa and George are at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house. Hello, my little ones, calls Granny Pig. Why is Granny in the roof? Asks Peppa. We're tidying the attic, says Grandpa Pig. The attic is where old things are kept. Granny and Grandpa Pig's attic is at the very top of the house. The door to the attic is in the ceiling. How do we get up there? Asks Peppa. You climb up a ladder, Peppa. I'll send it down, says Granny Pig. The attic is dark and dusty. Granny, there are boxes everywhere, cries Peppa. They're full of old junk, says Granny Pig. Peppa and George are here to help us throw away some things out, says Grandpa Pig. How about this box, says Granny Pig, pulling out a ship in a bottle. Then she pulls out another ship in a bottle. The box is full of ships in bottles. No, cries Grandpa Pig, I need them all. Well, we have to throw something out, says Granny Pig. Grandpa Pig finds a box of hats. No, not my hats, cries Granny Pig. They can't decide what to throw out. I know, says Granny Pig. We'll let Peppa and George decide. Peppa spots something on the floor. Let's throw away this old case, she says. Not that one, cries Granny and Grandpa Pig. Grandpa Pig opens the case and shows Peppa and George what's inside. It's a record player, says Grandpa Pig. Record players are used to play music, explains Granny Pig. Grandpa Pig puts on a record and the music starts to play. Come on, Peppa and George, let's dance, says Grandpa Pig. Dancing in the attic is fun, cries Peppa. When Mummy Pig arrives to pick up Peppa and George, she looks around but can't find anyone. Then she hears noise coming from the top of the house. Mummy Pig climbs the ladder. There you all are, she cries. Mummy, look at this record player, says Peppa. I used to play the record when I was little, says Mummy Pig. It's called Birdie Birdie Woof Woof. I thought it had been thrown away ages ago. Everyone sings along to the record. The birds go woof, the dogs go tweet, woof tweet, woof tweet, woof woof woof. The sheep go moo, the cows go baa, moo ba, moo ba, moo moo moo. Moo ba, woof tweet. Birdie Birdie Woof Woof is a very funny song. That was fun, says Grandpa Pig, but we were supposed to be finding things to throw out. You should keep everything, decides Peppa. Everyone agrees. It's a very good idea. Hee 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 ho ho ho. And there's everybody laughing and the record player. The end. Day 12. Peppa and George's garden. Daddy Pig is sitting in his favourite sunny spot reading a newspaper. What a perfect day for doing nothing, says Daddy Pig. The only thing that could make it better would be a cup of tea. He goes inside the house to make one. Grandpa Pig has come to see Peppa and George. You're going to have your very own flower garden, he tells them. Peppa and George are very excited. We need a nice sunny spot to plant your seeds, says Grandpa Pig. Grandpa Pig finds a perfect sunny spot and starts to dig. Peppa and George's garden. When the garden is ready, Peppa and George will plant their seeds. Oh, gasped Daddy Pig. What's going on? We're making a flower garden, says Peppa. But that's where I sit in my chair and read my newspaper, cries Daddy Pig. Flowers are more important than chairs and newspapers, says Peppa. It is time to plant the seeds. Look, Daddy, cries Peppa. Peppa has lots of flower seeds. George has only one flower seed, but it is a big one. Some birds have come to see what Peppa and George are doing. They start to eat the seeds. Shoo, shoo, calls Peppa. Leave our flower garden alone. Daddy Pig gets some water to help the seeds to grow. As soon as they see Daddy Pig, the birds fly away. Daddy Pig scared the birds, cheers Peppa. Grandpa Pig laughs. Daddy Pig looks like a scarecrow. Tweet, tweet. Peppa, George, bath time, calls Mummy Pig. But what if the birds come back, asks Peppa. Don't worry, Peppa. I'll make sure the birds don't eat the seeds, says Daddy Pig. The birds come back again. Luckily, Daddy Pig is there to scare them away. Shoo, shoo, naughty birds, cries Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig guards the seeds until the birds have gone to bed. He's a very good scarecrow. Tweet, tweet. It is 1 week later. Peppa, George, come and have a look, calls Daddy Pig. The seeds have grown, says Peppa. My flowers are so pretty. And George's plant is very tall, says Daddy Pig. It's a beanstalk, cries Peppa. It goes all the way up to a giant's castle. Ho, ho, no, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. It is a flower, but it does go quite high. George's flower is taller than their house, says Peppa. George has grown a sunflower, explains Grandpa Pig. Sunflowers are very tall plants. Well done, George, says Grandpa Pig. And well done, Daddy, says Peppa. You were a great scarecrow. And there's the sunflower. The end. Day 13. Peppa's pen pal. Peppa and her friends are at playgroup. Who would like a pen pal, says Madame Gazelle. What's a pen pal, asks Peppa. A pen pal is someone who you can write letters to, says Madame Gazelle. Everyone cheers. They would all like a pen pal. Madame Gazelle shows Peppa a picture of a little girl who lives in France. Her name is Delphine Donkey. Can Delphine be my pen pal, asks Peppa. Of course, Peppa, replies Madame Gazelle. One morning, Peppa receives a letter from Delphine. It's in French. I want to speak French to Delphine, says Peppa. Ring, ring. Delphine's phone number is on the letter, so Peppa Pig calls her. Mummy Pig tells Peppa that bonjour means hello in French. Bonjour, says Peppa. Bonjour, Peppa, replies Delphine. Hee hee, bye, says Peppa. Au revoir, whispers Mummy Pig. Au revoir, says Peppa. The next week, Peppa is disappointed because there's no letter from Delphine. Sorry, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. Just then the doorbell rings. Ding dong. Wonder who that could be, says Mummy Pig. Bonjour, I have come to see Peppa, says a voice. It's Delphine. Bonjour, squeals Peppa. Delphine introduces Peppa to her family. Hee-haw, bonjour, says Madame and Monsieur Donkey. Delphine has a little brother. His name is DJ. Dinosaur, grrr, says George. Dragon, grrr, says DJ. Hee hee, hee hee. Delphine, we could jump up and down in muddy puddles, suggests Peppa. Delphine does not understand Peppa. Je dois sauter dans le flag de vous. Peppa does not understand Delphine. Everything's so difficult in French, says Peppa. Delphine holds Peppa's hand. Peppa runs along with her. It looks like they're running towards a big muddy puddle. Je dois sauter dans le flag de vous, says Delphine again. Delphine jumps right into a muddy puddle. That's what I was going to show you, cries Peppa, joining in. Peppa and Delphine have been saying the same things all along. We call it jumping up and down in muddy puddles, explains Peppa. Splosh, splish, splash. J'adore jumping up and down in muddy puddles, says Delphine, laughing. Ho ho! Everyone loves jumping up and down in muddy puddles. Hee hee! There's Peppa and a picture of Delphine. The end. Day 14. Grampy Rabbit's Hovercraft. Grandpa Pig was taking Peppa and George out for the first time on his sailing boat. Hello, old bean, says Mr. Saliam. Grandpa, that man just called you an old bean, cried Peppa. It's another way of saying old friend, says Grandpa Pig. Now, where did I leave my boat? Said Grandpa Pig. What does your boat look like, Grandpa? Asked Peppa. It has a little red flag on top of the mast, says Grandpa Pig. Like that little flag? Asked Peppa. Oh dear, Grandpa Pig's sailing boat has sunk. Here is Grampy Rabbit on his hovercraft. Vroom! Grampy Rabbit zooms past the boats. What is that monstrosity? Asked Mr. Stallion. Is it as loud in the sailing club? Asked Mrs. Corgi. Vroom! Grampy Rabbit reaches Peppa and George. Hello! Shouts Grampy Rabbit. What a marvellous day for sailing. Hello, Grampy Rabbit, says Peppa. Grandpa Pig, you look sad, says Grampy Rabbit. What's the matter? We can't go sailing because our boat has sunk, says Peppa. Why don't you hop onto my hovercraft, suggests Grampy Rabbit. You can't drive that thing around here, says Grandpa Pig. You're not a member of the sailing club. Well, you're a member, aren't you? Replies Grampy Rabbit. So I'm sure it'll be perfectly fine. Peppa, George and Grandpa Pig board Grampy Rabbit's hovercraft. Hold on to your hats, shouts Grampy Rabbit as they zoom across the sea. Grampy Rabbit's hovercraft can go on land and water. Vroom. Mr. Stallion and Mrs. Corgi are enjoying a peaceful day sailing. Oh, what's that horrible noise? Cries Mrs. Corgi. It's that monstrosity again, says Mr. Stallion. Whoopee! Ha ha! Cries Grampy Rabbit. Vroom! Grampy Rabbit stops at the Sailing Club Cafe to get some juice. This is the life, eh? Says Grampy Rabbit. The sea and the sky and the boats sailing by. But the boats are not sailing by, Grampy Rabbit, says Peppa. There's no wind, says Grandpa Pig. Without wind, sailing boats can't sail. Suddenly, they hear voices calling for help. It's Mr. Stallion and Mrs. Corgi. We need to rescue them, Grampy Rabbit, says Peppa. Grampy Rabbit zooms towards the shouting. Ahoy there, he calls. We can't get back to the dock without wind, says Mrs. Corgi. Toss me a line and I'll tow you back in, says Grampy Rabbit. Vroom. Grampy Rabbit's hovercraft tows the sailing boats back to the shore. We're towing the boats to the shore, we're towing the boats to the shore, sings Grampy Rabbit. Vroom. We're towing the boats to the car park, towing the boats to be parked, sings Grampy Rabbit. Now you don't have so far to walk to your cars. But sailing boats don't go on land like hovercrafts, gasps Grandpa Pig. Grandpa Pig, who's your friend? Asked Mr. Stallion. We must thank him for rescuing us. His name is Grampy Rabbit, replies Grandpa Pig. Grampy Rabbit, delighted to meet you, old bean, says Mr. Stallion. You too, old bean, replies Grampy Rabbit. Hee 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 ha 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 ha. And there's the hovercraft, and they're having some juice. The end. Day 15. Grandpa Pig's boat. Grandpa Pig is taking Peppa and George out for a day on the river. I'm the captain of this boat, says Grandpa Pig. Granny Pig, Peppa and George all salute Grandpa Pig. Aye, aye, Captain, they cry. When I tell you all to do something, you must do it, says Grandpa Pig. Unless it's something silly, says Granny Pig, tells Peppa and George. Grandpa Pig frowns. The captain never says anything silly. Of course not, Captain, says Granny Pig, saluting. Everyone does what Grandpa Pig says. He asks George to raise the flag and Granny Pig to take the wheel. Then Grandpa Pig tells Peppa to ring the bell. Ding, ding! Off they go. The boat speeds through the water. Granny Pig thinks they should go a bit slower. Good idea, Granny Pig, says Grandpa Pig. I don't want to use up all my petrol. Hee hee. Peppa spots another boat. It's Grandad Dog. He's taking Danny Dog out for a day on the river. Grandad Dog and Grandpa Pig, his very best friend. Ho ho! I'm surprised your boat is still afloat, Grandad Dog. It must almost be as old as you are, says Grandpa Pig. Woof! This old boat can go faster than your rusty bucket any day, replies Grandad Dog. Grandpa Pig is not happy. He calls Grandad Dog a sea dog. Grandad Dog calls Grandpa Pig a water hog. You're both acting like children, cries Granny Pig. Peppa and George think this is funny. Grandpa Pig won't say sorry. Grandad Dog won't say sorry. They decide to race instead. Grandad Dog zooms off. Catch me if you can, water hog, says Grandad Dog. Grandpa Pig is not happy. Sea dog, shouts Grandpa Pig. Chug chug. Grandpa Pig overtakes Grandad Dog and leaves him far behind. Can't catch me, ha 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 ha, says Grandpa Pig. I win! Oh no, my boat has run out of petrol, cries Grandpa Pig. Maybe I did go a bit too fast. Maybe Grandad Dog can tow us home, suggests Granny Pig. I do not want him to, says Grandpa Pig. Will you two ever grow up, sighs Granny Pig. Grandpa Pig, say sorry to Grandad Dog, says Peppa. Grandad Dog, say sorry to Grandpa Pig, says Danny. Finally, they both say sorry. Grandad Dog is Grandpa Pig's very best friend. Grandad Dog tows Grandpa Pig's boat home. The main thing is I won the race, Grandpa Pig says to Peppa. Grandpa Pig, cries Granny Pig. Silly Grandpa Pig. The end. And there's George, Peppa and Granny Pig on Grandpa Pig's boat. Day 16. The power cut. It is the evening. Mummy and Daddy Pig are both very busy. Daddy Pig is in the hallway vacuuming the carpet. Mummy Pig is upstairs in her study, doing important work on her computer. Suddenly, everything goes dark. The computer switches off. The vacuum cleaner switches off too. Mummy Pig tries the light switch, but the lights do not come on. It must be a power cut, says Mummy Pig. What's happening? Asks Peppa. It's a power cut, Peppa, says Mummy Pig. A power cut is when there's no electricity. What's electricity? Says Peppa. Electricity is what makes everything in our house work, says Daddy Pig. It is very dark. Will the electricity come back on again? Asks Peppa. Yes, but in the meantime we need to find a torch, says Daddy Pig. Let me have a look in the cellar. Will you be all right, Daddy Pig? Mummy Pig calls down the stairs. I'll be fine, says Daddy Pig. I can see very well in the dark. Bang, boing. Ouch, cries Daddy Pig. I keep bumping into things. I've just remembered. I think the torch is in the kitchen, says Mummy Pig. Yes, it's in the drawer. Mummy Pig lets Peppa hold the torch. Peppa makes a funny face. George, look at me, she cries. George laughs. Peppa's face is very funny. Hee hee. But we better tell Daddy we found the torch, says Mummy Pig. Everyone goes to the living room while Peppa fetches a cardboard box. Mummy, will you cut a hole in the box for me, please? She asks. Mummy Pig, Daddy Pig and George sit down. Peppa puts the cardboard box over her head. George, you have to point the torch at me, says Peppa. The television won't work without electricity, so I've made my own television. Welcome to the news with me, Peppa Pig, announces newsreader Peppa. Today the whole world stopped working when there was a power cut and all the electricity was lost. Everyone enjoys watching Peppa's television program. Suddenly, the lights come on again. The electricity is back, cries Peppa. Hooray, shouts everyone. Peppa turns on the music. Let's dance, she says. Everyone dances in celebration. The power cut was fun, but everyone is very happy the electricity is back again. The end. And there's Peppa with her torch. Day 17. Pretend friend. Susie Sheep has come to Peppa Pig's house to play. Susie has brought her new friend, Leo Lion. But Peppa can't see Leo Lion anywhere. He's a pretend friend, Susie explains. That means he's invisible. Oh, says Peppa. Would Leo like to be my friend too? Roar, says Susie. That means yes. Mummy Pig has cut 2 slices of fruitcake for Peppa and Susie. Don't forget about Leo, says Peppa. Mummy Pig doesn't know who Leo is. He's Susie's pretend friend, explains Peppa. Mummy Pig gets an extra chair and plate for Leo and asks if he would like some fruitcake. Roar! Yes, says Peppa, giggling. Don't be silly, Peppa. That was you, says Susie. Leo doesn't like fruitcake. Leo would like to play dressing up now, says Susie. Peppa dresses up as a fairy and Susie makes a wish that she could be the queen. If you're a queen, Leo would be the jester, says Peppa. Susie doesn't like that idea. Leo is a king, Peppa, she says. I hear you have a special visitor, Peppa, says Daddy Pig. It's only Susie, Daddy, says Peppa. Don't forget about Leo, says Susie. King Leo Lion. Daddy Pig bows to King Leo. Daddy Pig is pleased to meet a king. What a fine mane you have, Leo, says Daddy Pig. Yes, and he's wearing his best red trousers, adds Susie. And his special blue shirt, adds Peppa. His shirt is yellow, not blue, says Susie. Peppa and Susie's friends have come round to jump in muddy puddles. Mummy Pig tells everyone to put on their welly boots. Everyone has so much fun splashing in the puddles. What about Leo? Calls Daddy Pig. Are you sure he should be in those muddy puddles without his boots? Luckily, Peppa has old boots fit for Leo perfectly. His paws get so muddy, you know, says Susie. Everyone loves jumping in muddy puddles, even pretend friends. There's Susie, Peppa, and pretend friend Leo. The end. Day 18. Peppers Treehouse. Peppa and her family are visiting Granny and Grandpa Pig. I'm making you a treehouse, says Grandpa Pig. I just need to finish the roof. Finished, says Grandpa Pig. And I've made some curtains for the window, says Granny Pig. Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you, Granny, cries Peppa. Peppa and George love their treehouse. Ho, ho, ho. Who wants to go inside first? Asked Grandpa Pig. Me, cried Peppa and George, jumping up and down. Peppa climbs up the ladder. Before I go inside the treehouse, I must take off my boots, she says. Peppa quickly kicks them off and they land on the grass. Inside the treehouse, Peppa closes the door and pulls open the curtains. I'm in my treehouse, she shouts out of the window. Hee hee. George, do you want to go inside too? Asks Daddy Pig. George nods. Peppa and George hear a knock at the door. Knock, knock. Do you have any room for visitors? Asks Mummy Pig. You have to say the secret word first. They are Daddy's tummy, whispers Peppa. Mummy Pig says the words, Daddy's tummy, and goes inside. I think we should have different secret words, says Daddy Pig. Daddy Pig tries to climb through the door, but he's a bit too big. Oof. Grandpa Pig has an idea. Daddy Pig, could you climb in through the top, he suggests. Grandpa Pig lifts off the roof and Daddy Pig climbs inside. Then he puts the roof back on. Peppa and her family are all squashed inside. Hee hee hee. Everyone gets out apart from Peppa. Granny, I love our treehouse. I don't want to ever come out, she cries. Are you sure you don't want to visit me in my house? Asks Granny Pig. No, thank you, says Peppa. In that case, Grandpa Pig and I will have to eat these homemade cookies all by ourselves, says Granny Pig, heading back to her house. Cookies, cries Peppa. She runs to Granny Pig, who has a plate of yummy cookies. If you want some, you have to say the secret words, says Granny Pig. Hee hee hee. That's easy. Daddy's tummy, cries Peppa. Granny gives Peppa a cookie. I still think these are very silly words, Daddy Pig says, taking a cookie too. The end. And there's Peppa and George in their treehouse. Day 19. Miss Rabbit's Day Off. Peppa, George and Susie Sheep have had a sleepover at Rebecca Rabbit's house. It's fun having carrots for breakfast, laughs Peppa. I could eat carrots all day, agrees Daddy Rabbit. Munch, crunch, munch, crunch. Mummy Rabbit's sister, Miss Rabbit, pops in to say hello. I can't stop long, she says. I've got lots of work to do. I'm working at the supermarket, selling ice creams and driving the bus. Miss Rabbit trips over one of Richard's toys. Her ankle is hurt. You must stay here and get better, decides Mummy Rabbit. I'll do your work for you. Ooh! Mummy Rabbit puts Rebecca and her friends in charge of looking after Miss Rabbit. Luckily, Susie Sheep has her nurse outfit with her. Don't worry, she says. I'm only a pretend nurse. Mummy Rabbit goes straight to the supermarket. Miss Rabbit is ill, she tells everyone. I'll be doing her job today. Have you ever worked at a checkout before? Asks Mrs. Dog. Mummy Rabbit has not. Running a supermarket checkout is quite hard. Mummy Rabbit calls home. We need more help, she cries. This job is going to take me all day. Peppa phones Miss Rabbit's ice cream store. Daddy Pig answers. Miss Rabbit is ill. You've got to sell the ice cream today. Ho ho, snorts Daddy Pig. I'm an expert at ice cream. He gets to work. Selling ice cream is quite hard. Soon the ice cream begins to melt. The ice cream is all runny. Ice cream soup, anyone? Asks Daddy Pig. Peppa phones Grandad Dog. Miss Rabbit is very ill. Can you drive her bus today, please? Grandad Dog gets to work, but driving a bus is quite hard. It's even harder when you have to fix cars too. Back at Rebecca Rabbit's house, Miss Rabbit is feeling better. Can I get up now? She asks. Susie Sheep shakes her head. No, you must lie very still, but please keep breathing. It's not easy doing all your jobs, says Mummy Rabbit. At the end of the day, it's not easy sitting down all day, says Miss Rabbit. She will definitely be back to work tomorrow. Ha ha ha, no ha ha ha. The end. And there's Miss Rabbit getting all better. Day 20. George's new dinosaur. George's favourite toy is Mr. Dinosaur. George likes bouncing Mr. Dinosaur in the garden, playing with him at bath time, and he loves going to sleep with Mr. Dinosaur beside him. At bedtime, Peppa says, George, I think Mr. Dinosaur is broken. George is very upset. Mummy and Daddy Pig come in to see why George is crying. Wah, cries George. Poor George, says Daddy Pig. Maybe it's time that you got a new dinosaur. The next day, Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig visit Mr. Fox's shop. I'm sure we'll find a lovely dinosaur here, George, says Mummy Pig. Look, George, says Daddy Pig, pointing to the shop window. There's a big one. Ooh, dinosaur, says George. Good morning, beams Mr. Fox. Can I help you? We'd like to buy the dinosaur in the window, please, says Daddy Pig. Good choice, says Mr. Fox. This is Dino Roar. He walks, he talks, he sings. Wow, says everyone. Dino Roar, says George excitedly. We'll take it, says Daddy Pig. George is playing with Dino Roar in the garden. Dino Roar sings. Dino Roar, listen to the Dino Roar. Roar! Careful, George, says Daddy Pig. Don't play too roughly, because Dino Roar will get broken. George wants to play with Dino Roar in the bath. Dino Roar, says George. But Mummy Pig says, George, if you get Dino Roar wet, he'll stop working. Splash, splash, splash. Peppa and George are asleep in bed, but suddenly Dino Roar comes to life. Roar! Dino Roar, Dino Roar. George, says Peppa, Dino Roar has woken me up. Maybe Dino Roar should sleep somewhere else, says Daddy Pig, taking Dino Roar away. George is feeling sad. He cannot play with Dino Roar in the garden, or in the bath, or even in bed. Never mind, George, says Mummy Pig brightly. Dino Roar can still roar. Dino Roar, listen, Dino Roar, arr. Dino Roar stops walking and talking completely. I think the batteries must have run out, says Mummy Pig. Already? How many are there? Grumbles Daddy Pig, as batteries pour out of Dino Roar. Hundreds and thousands, cries Peppa, as she picks them up. Peppa spots something green under a bush. What's this? Says Peppa. Is it a trumpet? She found Dino Roar's tail, says Mummy Pig. Now Daddy Pig can mend him. He might be a bit difficult to mend, says Daddy Pig doubtedly. But the tail snips perfectly into place. Daddy Pig has mended Mr. Dinosaur. Ho, 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 chuckles Daddy Pig. Hello, Mr. Dinosaur, says Peppa. Grrr, replies George. Hee hee. Everybody laughs. Mr. Dinosaur is George's favourite toy in the whole world. Click. There's George and Dinosaur. Dinosaur. The end. Day 21. Tooth Fairy. and George are eating their favourite food. Spaghetti! Slurp, sloop. Suddenly, something falls onto Peppa's plate. What's that? Peppa cries. It's your tooth, Daddy Pig laughs. If you put your tooth under your pillow tonight, the Tooth Fairy will pay you a visit. She will take the tooth and leave you a shiny coin, says Mummy Pig. Good night, Peppa. Good night, George, says Mummy Pig. Good night, my little piggies, grunts Daddy Pig. Peppa puts her tooth under the pillow for the Tooth Fairy. Let's stay awake all night and see the Tooth Fairy, says Peppa. Snort. George giggles. George, where's the Tooth Fairy? Asks Peppa. She's very late, but George is too tired and he has fallen asleep. I'm not going to sleep. Snores Peppa. When everything is quiet, something appears at the window. The Tooth Fairy has arrived, but Peppa is fast asleep. The Tooth Fairy pushes a shiny coin under the pillow and takes Peppa's tiny tooth. Peppa, George, wake up. It's morning, says Mummy Pig brightly. Did the Tooth Fairy come? Daddy Pig asks. No, says Peppa sadly. Look under your pillow, says Daddy Pig. Look, Peppa, the Tooth Fairy has been and left you a coin. Hooray! Hee hee hee, Peppa laughs. Grunt, next time I will stay awake and I will see the Tooth Fairy. Hee hee hee. And there's Peppa's shiny coin. The end. Day 22. Peppa's Circus. Peppa and her friends are visiting Granny and Grandpa Pig. What's that? Asked Pedro Pony. Is it the circus? Wonders Susie Sheep. No, says Grandpa Pig. It is a tent for Granny Pig's garden party. The children decide to make their own circus. We can call it Peppa's Circus, says Peppa. Granny Pig thinks it's a splendid idea. She fetches the dressing up box. There are lots of good circus costumes in the dressing up box. Peppa finds a top hat. Danny Dog finds some spotty trunks and a stick-on moustache. I want to be a clown, cries Peppa. Too late. Pedro Pony has already put on the clown outfit. Rebecca Rabbit does his clown makeup. Everyone has a job except Peppa. Peppa, you can be the ringmaster, says Grandpa Pig. The ringmaster is the boss. Yes, nods Peppa. I can be the ringmaster. The garden party guests arrive. Granny Pig shows them into the tent. Ladies and gentlemen, cries Peppa, welcome to my circus. Wow, says Peppa. Please be very scared of the amazing Candy Cat. Rebecca Rabbit holds up a hoop for Candy to jump through. Growl. George and Richard and Edmund come out next. They ride round and round on their tricycles. Squeak, squeak. Don't stop clapping, calls Peppa. Here's the strong Danny Dog. Danny lifts Peppa high into the air. The crowd goes wild. Danny Dog is very strong. Now it's Emily Elephant's turn. She juggles 2 potatoes and an egg. Ooh, gasped the audience. It is the end of Peppa's amazing circus. That, Granny Pig laughs, is the best circus I have ever seen. Hooray! More! The end. And there's everybody at the circus. Day 23. The toy cupboard. It is Peppa and George's bedtime. Goodness, cries Mummy Pig. Why are all those toys on your bed? That's where they live, giggles Peppa. The toy basket is full. Mummy and Daddy Pig decide that Peppa and George really need a toy cupboard. Let's buy one on the computer, says Mummy Pig. Hooray! Everyone cheers. The next day, Mr. Zebra, the postman, delivers the toy cupboard. Oh, it looks a bit flat, says Peppa. Don't worry, your Mummy and Daddy will build it for you, says Mr. Zebra. Daddy Pig empties all the pieces onto the floor. That's odd, says Daddy Pig. There aren't any instructions. Maybe it's so easy to build it doesn't need instructions, suggests Mummy Pig. Crash. Everyone helps Mummy Pig build the toy cupboard, and very soon it is finished. Well done, Mummy Pig, shouts Peppa. Hee hee, laughs George. That's strange. The toy cupboard is very small. How will all our toys fit inside? Asks Peppa. The cupboard is tiny because Mummy Pig has not used all the pieces. Oh dear. If only we had the instructions, sighs Daddy Pig. Mr. Zebra has found the instructions in his van. I'll build it for you, says Mr. Zebra. Mummy Pig gives Mr. Zebra a cup of tea and some biscuits. Mr. Zebra has put the toy cupboard together and placed the toys inside, but there's no room for the last two. Poor Teddy and Mr. Dinosaur, where are you going to live? Cries Peppa. I have an idea, says Mummy Pig. Teddy and Mr. Dinosaur can live on your beds. But that's where they were before, says Peppa. I know, smiles Mummy Pig. That's why it's such a good idea. The end. And there's Teddy and Mr. Dinosaur in bed. Day 24. Peppa's Christmas Eve. It is Christmas Eve, and Peppa and her friends are very excited. Hello, children, says Madame Gazelle. Today we are going to talk about the different ways of celebrating Christmas. Hooray! Everyone cheers. Peppa and her friends love Christmas. Some families have big feasts on Christmas Eve, says Madame Gazelle. We do that, cries Rebecca Rabbit. Fantastic, says Madame Gazelle. What do you eat? Lots and lots of carrots, replies Rebecca. Madame Gazelle asks if anyone puts up a stocking on Christmas Eve. Yes, everyone cheers. Well, she says, some children leave shoes out instead. I want to do that, gasps Gerald Giraffe. I've got big shoes. The children are surprised to learn some families have porridge for lunch on Christmas Eve. Porridge, says Danny Dog. For lunch, gasps Susie Zebra. Yum, shouts Freddy Fox, rubbing his tummy. In some places, they celebrate by singing carols, says Madame Gazelle. Mandy Mouse grabs a microphone and starts to sing very loudly. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Thank you, Mandy, says Madame Gazelle. And some families, continue Madame Gazelle, wrap up books they have read and give them to families and friends. Ooh, gasped Peppa. I like that idea best. Ooh. Daddy, cries Peppa as soon as she gets home, I would like to wrap up my books and give them to everyone. Lovely, says Daddy Pig. When? Tonight, says Peppa. I see, says Daddy Pig, smiling. Peppa runs to her bedroom to find some books to wrap. This one's for Grandpa. This one's for Pedro. Suddenly it starts to snow. Oh, no, gasped Peppa. How will I ever deliver the books in the snow? Don't worry, says Mummy Pig. I have an idea. Soon Daddy Pig is pulling a sledge covered in Peppa's books. First stop, Granny and Grandpa Pig's house, cheers Peppa. Granny and Grandpa Pig are delighted with their books. What a special Christmas Eve, says Granny Pig. Thank you, Peppa, says Grandpa Pig. Daddy Pig trudges through the snow to all Peppa's friends' houses. Last stop, the hospital, calls Peppa. Pedro has hurt his leg, and a special book to read will cheer him up. Peppa gives Pedro Pony and the doctors and nurses a book each. What a thoughtful gift, says Nurse Fox. Thank you, Peppa, says Pedro. I feel much better now. When they get home, tired Daddy Pig picks up a mince pie. Can we deliver books next year? Asks Peppa. And the year after that? We'll see, says Daddy Pig. But there's still one book left this year. It says it's for me, gasps Peppa, unwrapping it. Daddy Pig chuckles. Perfect for a special Christmas Eve bedtime story. Hooray, cheers Peppa. This is the best Christmas Eve ever. Merry Christmas. And there's a wee book and a Christmas tree. The end. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Do come back so we can read more books together. Please like and subscribe. Bye.